So hi, this is Lou, welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to create watercolour feathers like these ones. I'm really excited today because there are 1,000 of you lovely people following me here on YouTube, and I am ridiculously excited about this, so I thought it would be really good to do something to celebrate it. So I've got a little gift for one of you. I've got a set of 30 watercolours with some brushes in and some watercolour paper, and I'm going to be throwing in the 2 original watercolour paintings that I did today. And if you'd like to know how to receive these, then I will let you know at the end of the video. So in today's video, I'm going to do some watercolour painting. And for that I've got a set of watercolours. I've got a couple of brushes. I've got a very fine small one, and then I've got a slightly larger one. These are both pointed round brushes. So I've got a 0 and a 4. But you don't have to have the exact brushes I'm using, just use whatever you've got. I've got a pencil and a rubber to do some sketching. I've got some washi tape which I'm going to use to tape my paper to the table. And then I've got some water and just some paper towel for cleaning my brush on. I've got a couple of feathers that I've picked up from somewhere, and I'm going to use these as reference, not to copy exactly, but just to help me to make the feathers that I'm drawing look a little bit realistic. So I'm going to start by taping my paper to the table, and this is cold pressed watercolour paper, and this is an A5 size. So I want to start by sketching my feather, and I'm just going to pay attention to a couple of the things about the way that these are kind of constructed. So there's this like stem that goes at the centre, and it's slightly curved. It starts out thicker at this end and then goes thinner as it goes down. And then like these, are they called the flights of the feather? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it's like wider on one side than it is on the other. And they kind of separate out if you pull them. You can end up with little kind of gaps in them, which look quite pretty when you're drawing them. So I might include a few of those. And this one curves the other way. This one's got quite a lot of soft, fluffy bits at the start here. And then it becomes quite rigid, and it's got a very round end. Whereas this one has more of a point at the end. So I'm not going to copy either of these particularly, but I'm going to use what I've learned from observing them to be able to create myself a realistic looking feather. So I'm going to start sketching, and I'm using a mechanical pencil, but any kind of pencil is fine. I'm just going to be quite careful not to press in too hard into the paper because I don't want to see the pencil lines in the finished painting. So I'm going to start with drawing a curving line for the stem of the feather. There we go. And then I'm going to draw another line next to it that starts out further away and then gradually comes in to meet. And then I'm going to roughly start from here, I'm going to draw outwards a line at an angle like that. And then I'm going to draw a few of these lines as I'm going up, and then kind of connect them together. And then I'm going to put a little point at the top, and I'm going to do the same on this side. But the lines on this side I'm going to do a little bit shorter. So connect all those up. And then I might put in a couple of little triangle shapes here to show that there might be gaps in the feathers. So I think I'd like my feather to be a little wider at the top here, so I'm going to correct that line. And then rub away the lines that I don't want. And then the final thing is that the feathers have actually got kind of quite ruffled edges. So if I want to create that sense of a ruffled edge, if I go over my pencil lines but just wobble my pencil a bit more, and then some of these lines have ended up being quite dark, so I'm going to go in with the rubber really lightly and rub out completely the lines that I think are wrong, and then really lightly just kind of go in over some of those darker pencil lines, just to take away the weight of them, because if I paint watercolour over the top of them, then you'd be able to see the pencil. So now I'm ready to go in with some paint, and I'm going to take some Payne's Grey, which is a very bluey kind of grey, and I'm going to start by creating a very light mix of this colour. So I've got a dark mix and a light mix. The other colour I'm going to use in here is this lovely orange. I'm going to start by painting the stem of the feather, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a really small brush, take some of that dark Payne's Grey on my brush and run it up one side of the feather stem. I think we might need a bit more colour on there. This is the trickiest bit, I have to say. Getting this line nice and straight. As I get further up, I'm putting less pressure on my brush, so I get a really, really fine line. And I'm going to take this all the way up to the top. There we go. Now I'm going to wash my brush. So there's nothing on my brush but water. And I'm going to press down a little harder with my brush. And I'm going to run it along the side of that line. I'm pressing down quite hard with my brush, so it fills in that whole area of the stem. And then as I get further up, I'm pressing down less hard so the tip of my brush gets narrower. And around about there, I'm just going to stop. I might add a little bit more colour right at the bottom, just a bit. And then if I want to spread that colour out, I make sure I do it to that side. Now I've dried my brush, so there's nothing on my brush at all. And if I run it through this right hand side, I can put back a little highlight. And if you get too much paint on your brush, just dry it off again. So now I'm going to leave this to dry before I come in and do the rest. So now I've got the slightly bigger brush and I'm going to paint in the rest of the feather. I'm going to do one side at a time, and I'm going to start just by colouring the whole thing in with this light wash of Payne's Grey. I'm going to use the point of my brush to get those pointy bits in there, and then I'm going to run it along the side of the stem that I put in. I'm going to leave these little gaps in there. And then bring it right up to the top. Now I'm going to take some of the darker mix and just add that in a few spots where I'd like it to be darker. So I might do this bit here while it's all still wet, and then run this dark line up there. I'm going to clean my brush and just take some of this bright orange and dot in some dots of that bright orange colour, just for a bit of fun. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So let's start from here. And I'm really just colouring in at this point. Just colouring in between the pencil lines that I put in earlier. Again, add some dark in. And maybe some spots of this dark colour. And then maybe a bit more orange at the top. The final thing I'm going to do is go back to my very small brush and take some colour on it, and then just bring it out a few times at the start here. And you can go in a couple of different directions if you'd like to. I might add a little bit more dark colour in. Just along the bottom bit there, just to make it look a little fluffier. Now I'm going to leave that to dry, and then I'm going to rub out any of the pencil marks that you can still see. So I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. Let's try another one. And this time, for now, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to come back in and add some more pattern later on. So now I'm doing some stripes, and I'm just coming from the center, one side at a time, and doing little strokes with my small brush until I get to the edge of the feather. So start in the center and then do strokes next to each other. Coming out to the edge of the feather, like that. And now this is dry, again we can go in and take away any of the pencil marks that are still showing. So thanks very much for watching today. I really hope that you enjoyed this. If you give it a go, I'd love to see the results. You can always tag me on Instagram. I'm at Lou Rachel Davis, and I love to see what you make. I'm also on Facebook at Lou Davis Artist and Maker, so you can get in touch with me there too. If you'd like to receive the watercolours, the paper, and these 2 original paintings that I did today, then all you need to do is to like the video and be subscribed to the channel, and then put a comment down below. Just let me know that you'd like to receive them. In a week's time, I'll pick one of you at random to receive them in the post. If you like this video, then please hit the like button, and if you'd like to subscribe, then that would be absolutely wonderful. I post new sewing, making and art videos every week, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.